Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janvallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Janvallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janvallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Janvallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janvallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Janvallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jayum Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajakacharya Astutar Sata Sri Sri Maharaj Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jayum Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajakacharya Astutar Sata Sri Sri Maharaj Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shyamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Dwarka Dham ki jai. Gangamai ki jai. Jamunamai ki jai. Shrimati Tulasi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Buddhave Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namade. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani. Nirvishi Shunyavadi Pasha Jadis Dharana. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the 10th canto, continuing on the 89th chapter, Krishna and Arjuna retrieve a Brahmana's sons, text number 18. Trivida kritayastasya rashaksa asura Guninya Mayaya Shrishta Satvang Tat Tirtha Sadhanam Trivida Kritayas Tasya Rakshasa Asura Sura Guninya Mayaya Shrishta Satvang Tat Tirtha Sadhanam Chant, please. Sattvam tatirtha sadhanam. Vaishnavis, no? Anyone else? Kityastasya Rakshasa Surasura Gunanya Maya Shrishta Sattvam Tatirtha Sadhanam. We're good? No one else? Okay. Word for word. Trividha, of three kinds. Akritaya, forms. Tasya, of his. Rakshasa, the ignorant spirits. Asura, the demons. Suraha, and the demigods. Gunanya, qualified by the material modes. Mayaya, by his material energy. Shishtaha, created. Sattvam, the mode of goodness. Tat, among them. Tirtha, of success in life. Sadhanam, the means of attainment. Translation by Hridayananda Das Goswami and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The Lord expands into three kinds of manifest beings, the Rakshasas, the demons, and the demigods, all of whom are created by the Lord's material energy and conditioned by her modes. But among these three modes, it is the mode of goodness which is the means of attaining life's final success. Purport. In Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada writes, there are different kinds of people existing in the modes of material nature. Those who are in the mode of ignorance are called Rakshasas. Those in the mode of passion are called Asuras, or demons, and those in the mode of goodness are called Suras, or demigods. Under the direction of the Supreme Lord, these three classes of men are created by material nature, but those who are in the mode of goodness have a greater chance to be elevated to the spiritual world, back home, back to Godhead. Translation once again, please repeat. The Lord expands into three kinds of manifest beings. The Rakshasas, the demons, and the demigods, all of whom are created by the Lord's material energy and conditioned by her modes. But among these three modes, it is the mode of goodness which is the means of attaining life's final success. Omagyandimirandasya Gnanjana Shalakaya Chakshurumlitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Svavirandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Mitam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Shah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapte Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanshakapatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. No translation is required for this group? We're all good? English? Okay. I wouldn't be able to speak or understand. So after narrating the story of Bhrigu search to find the Supreme, Shukadeva Goswami has made this statement that the Lord expands into three kinds of manifest beings, the Rakshasas, the demons, and the demigods, all of whom are created by the Lord's material energy and conditioned by her modes. But among these three modes, it is the mode of goodness, which is the means of attaining life's final success. Now, does the mode of goodness, and I'm asking you all a question, is the mode of goodness in pious activities, does that give one devotional service? Gives one a chance. Yes, is that correct what you said? Yeah. Gives one a chance. Any other? He's correct. Haribol. Pious activities in and of themselves do not lead directly to devotional service, or to speak of pure devotional service. Pious activities enable one to come to the door where, by passing through the door, one can enter the realm of bhakti. Just like Srila Prabhupada has taught us that even by the simple act of someone appreciating devotees, or appreciating the books that Prabhupada has translated and published, or appreciating a Harinam party, by this simple act of appreciation, one gets the opportunity to enter the door into the world of bhakti yoga. Factually, Prabhupada says the person's devotional service has begun with that simple act of appreciation. And that's why Srila Prabhupada taught us that it's so important that we understand the philosophy properly. We present the philosophy in terms of time, place, and circumstances. In fact, it was very common when Srila Prabhupada traveled around the world, he wanted to meet leading people of that location in whatever realm that they were working in. And Srila Prabhupada would ask them some questions, and he wanted to hear their answers, because from hearing their reply, he would formulate how he was going to approach each individual person, how he was going to present the philosophy. So Srila Prabhupada was very careful like that, because we have to speak to the audience according to their ability to comprehend and understand, like that. So Shukadeva Goswami is saying in this particular verse that within the material world, the Supreme Personality of God had sent his material energy, the three modes of material nature, to condition every living entity in the material world, in every species of life. And what is the main symptom of that conditioning? Everyone is thinking, I'm this body. Prabhupada used to call this skin disease. According to the nature of the skin on the body, someone is thinking, I'm a white male. Oh, I'm born in America. Someone is thinking, I'm a woman. Someone is thinking, according to the skin, I'm a German shepherd. Someone is thinking, I'm a tree. Like this, according to the nature of the skin covering the body, people, conditioned souls, identify that as themselves. When Srila Prabhupada, when he came, the first thing he taught us was that you're not these bodies. And it was such phenomenally exalted, high understanding, philosophy, that it was like, wow, this is really mind-blowing. I've never heard anything like this before. But this is just, as you all understand, this is just, not even ABCs, just like the A of, the ABCs, the very, very beginning of spiritual understanding. But this is where we have to begin, just to understand that we're not the body, but we are spirit, soul within. Presently, I live in New Vrindavan in the United States, and on Saturdays, when it's very busy, it's like a tourist town for like 8 months of the year. A lot of people come, and a good percentage of the guests who come to Prabhupada's palace, they know nothing about Srila Prabhupada. They know nothing about Krishna consciousness, but they've heard about this golden palace in the hills of West Virginia. So they come, and I give tours once a week when they're really busy, on Saturday afternoons usually. And I like to tell the people the basic concept, the beginning of the philosophy, that we're not these material bodies. And for the vast majority of people, it's like, wow, they had no idea. And it's just a profound thing for them to understand. But it's the basics of spiritual life. And as stated in the purport, to understand this is the differentiation between human species and animal species. Now, it wasn't in this purport. It is in another place that I was reading yesterday, where Srila Prabhupada explains that devotional service, actually not even devotional service, the acceptance of Varna and Ashram system is the line of demarcation between animal species and human beings. And even if a person, somebody in a human body, does not understand or does not accept the principles of Varnashram, according to the scriptures, they are considered an animal, not even human beings, subhuman being. So in this purport, which Hridayananda Maharaj he extracted from Krishna book, Prabhupada writes that there's different classes of people who live in the different modes, influenced by the different modes. And they're primarily categorized into three: goodness, passion, and ignorance. However, just like in the world of color, there's three primary colors. I don't recall off the top of my head what they are. I think red, yellow, blue. Red, yellow, blue. Thank you very much. Three primary colors. And when you mix red and yellow, or red and blue, or any of the three combinations, then you get a subcategory, secondary level. And then as you further mix them, you get a third level and a fourth level, and you can go without limit. and have unlimited varieties of colors coming from those three primary modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Now, when Srila Prabhupada speaks of ignorance, and when we speak of ignorance, Srila Prabhupada is generally not referring to an uneducated or a stupid person. He's not referring to the level of intelligence. If you look at the root meaning of the word ignorance, it comes from the word ignore. So anyone who has the habit of ignoring, especially the revealed scriptures, in that particular aspect, we're ignorant. Not that we're stupid, not that we're uneducated, not like that, but we just have the tendency to ignore. I don't want to do that. That's too much trouble. I like doing things this way. I want to do it like this. And I know from speaking for myself, I still have that habit of doing things according to ignoring and ignorance. And I'm sure many of you do. Just like, for example, the speed limit sign, you're driving down the highway, the speed limit sign may say 60 kilometers per hour. I'm going to go 70, I'm going to go 80, like that. We are ignoring the rules and regulations. But why are there rules and regulations in the first place? That is one of the characteristics, or one of the dividing lines between animal society and human society. Human society, we have rules and regulations so that life goes on harmoniously. Otherwise, if we don't follow any rules, any regulations, how are we different from the monkeys and the dogs? There's no real difference. So the rules and the regulations, even in mundane society, are meant for the general peace and proper functioning of human society. And when people habitually break or violate the rules and regulations, they're removed from the society of people who want to follow, who want to be peaceful, who want to progress in their material life, and not be disturbed by people who just ignore. And the same way in spiritual life, when we leave from material life and enter spiritual life, we bring with us so many misconceptions, so much emotional baggage and karmic baggage. Srila Prabhupada would give the analogy of two young boys going for piano lessons. And when they got to the home of the piano teacher, first question that the teacher asked him is, the boys asked him, how much will this cost? How much will the lessons cost? And his reply was, have you ever played piano before? And the boy said, no. Okay, for you it will be 5 rupees. Have you ever played piano before? Yes, I played a long time. For you it will be 7 rupees. What? Somebody who has played before is higher charged than, I played for many months and he hasn't played at all. Why are you charging me more? Because first I have to remove your misconceptions, what you think you know, before we can get to a clean state like this young boy has. So when we come to devotional service, we're like that. We bring so many misconceptions. Who is God? Who am I? What is this material world? And people in general have no idea, but they think they know. And so our first job as teachers and educators is to find out what the misconceptions are and nicely, gently correct them, so that we eliminate what the misconception is and give them simultaneously the proper understanding. And if the entire Krishna consciousness movement could be summarized in one word, it would be education. We are educating the people in general in the affairs of spiritual life. And where is our knowledge coming from? It's coming from Lord Chaitanya, through the 6 Goswamis, through Guru Parampara, through Prabhupada's books, through our respective gurus. Siksha, especially Siksha and Diksha gurus. So by getting rid of our misconceptions, by putting them down and accepting the proper understanding, then gradually things become revealed to us within our heart. But otherwise, if we maintain our misconceptions, progress in devotional service will be very hard and very slow. So, in this purport, Srila Prabhupada writes from the Krishna book that basically he's talking about the basic categories according to the 3 modes. Those in the mode of ignorance are called Rakshasas. Those in the mode of passion are known as Asuras or demons. And those in the mode of goodness are called Suras or demigods. So it's a gradual process of elevation, just like in school. We start out in one standard, then when we satisfy the requirements, 2nd standard, 3rd standard, like that, up to university, bachelor's, MA, PhD, whatever. But it's a gradual succession. And there are times when we didn't learn the lessons and we have to either repeat the grade or go back to a lower level, something like that. And opposite is also true. Sometimes, in a rare case, there are individuals who take to the process of knowledge so readily and easily that they are moved up a particular, a class or 2, something like that. And there are also honorary degrees given by universities in very, very rare situations. When somebody has proven by practical example that they understand the principles so clearly, they're able to implement them in the real world, successfully. And they are recognized, sometimes these rare individuals are recognized as having full knowledge of the subject matters, and there's given what's called an honorary degree to acknowledge that, yes, this person has mastered this subject. So, for a reference here, in Bhagavad Gita 4.13, Krishna says, Chaturvarnyam maya shishtam gunakarma vibhagasaha tasya kartaram apimam vidis akartam avyayam. According to the 3 modes of material nature, and the work associated with them, the 4 divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of the system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. And in his purport explanation to that verse, Srila Prabhupada states that in the beginning of the creation of the human society, the Lord began by creating the Brahmana class of men. Haribol. The so-called modern understanding is that man evolved from the monkeys and ascending process, but Prabhupada said no. Factually, it is a descending process with a supreme secondary creator in this universe, Lord Brahma. He is the highest educated individual within the universe. Srila Prabhupada often refers to Lord Brahma as the topmost engineer, an engineer within the universe. He often refers to him like that because Lord Brahma has the responsibility, present tense, of creating and not maintaining, but creating the various forms of life. Krishna supplied the principles and the ingredients, and he put them together. It's like a woman in the kitchen. She takes the flour, she takes the yeast, the water, whatever, puts them together and makes bread. She does not create the flour or the water like that. Takes the ingredients that are already available. So Lord Brahma the same way. He takes the ingredients that are supplied by the Lord and he creates the various species within the universe. So Prabhupada continues to elaborate in that purport, that Bhagavad Gita verse, that He says the intelligent class of men, they're called brahmanas. The next class are called the administrators, the kshatriyas. They're in the mode of passion. Then the mercantile, the vaishyas, they're in passion and ignorance. And those who really don't care about rules and regulations, especially scriptural ones, they're considered to be shudras. But like with the combination of the 3 or 4 primary colors, in some works there's a 4th color, I don't recall what it is. But according to the combinations, there's so many different subcategories. And in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I forget the actual pastime, but Krishnadas Kaviraj Maharaj explains that even within the Shudra community, there are administrators, there are intelligent class, and there's all 4 classes within that broad category of Shudra community. So you'll find those mixes in all of the Varnas. And it's because the colors, the color combinations, the combinations of the 3 modes of material nature, as Krishna says, material energy is endlessly mutable, always changing. Sometimes the mode of passion becomes prominent, defeating the mode of goodness and ignorance. Sometimes the mode of goodness is prominent, defeating passion and ignorance. And sometimes the mode of ignorance is prominent, defeating both passion and goodness. And Krishna says, in this way, there's always competition between the modes for supremacy. Just like the waves in the ocean or the currents in the river, they mix together constantly, continually. I remember when I was living in Mayapur, I would sometimes see aerial photographs of the Ganga and the Jalangi, the 2 rivers. They come together, and the Ganga gets a lot of runoff from the agricultural fields upstream of that, where it comes off from the main Ganga. And so the color of the Ganga, when it reaches Mayapur, it's very brown. Sometimes it's this color, whereas the Jalangi, it's a much shorter river. It comes from very shorter distance in comparison, and it's quite clear in comparison. And they merge together in Haribo. You can't distinguish one from the other. Well, you can't differentiate what was the Jalangi water after that. So, Srila Prabhupada references in that verse from Bhagavad Gita 4.13 that in the 18th chapter, Krishna elaborates more on action, knowledge, and the performers of action. Chapter 18, text 19 through 28, Krishna explains that according to the different modes of material nature, it's seen in all living entities, although they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand them to be in the mode of goodness. Then, let me see, I'm sorry, I missed 2. So he first speaks about knowledge, because knowledge is so important. As a matter of fact, let me take a little diversion here, just talk about the principles of knowledge. Anybody wonder why, in the list of incarnations of the Lord, why for the second incarnation of the Kumars, why there's 4, not just 1? Every other incarnation that's mentioned by Shukadeva Goswami is 1. I always wondered about this. Why is this? And after a long time of reading Prabhupada's books, in the 3rd canto I found a passage where, I forget who's speaking. Let me read the verse here and a little bit of the purport. Although Brahma created the principles of nescience as a matter of necessity for those living entities who were destined to ignorance by the will of the Lord, he was not satisfied by performing such a thankless task. Ever walk out of a building and feel like, oh, I need to take a shower just from the atmosphere? Brahma was kind of feeling like that it was just very, very distasteful for him to have to perform that activity. So, continues, he therefore created 4 principles of knowledge. Just like this table in front of me has 4 legs that are supporting the table. Without the legs, it wouldn't be a table. Same way with chairs. The legs support the table, the chair, like that. So Prabhupada elaborates on what are the 4 principles that knowledge stands on. First is Sankhya. Srila Prabhupada defines Sankhya, it's an empirical philosophy for the analytical study of material conditions. Now, empirical means by trial and by experience. Just like anybody ever have a lab class during your education, something you go to a classroom and hear the book knowledge, and then you go into the laboratory and have a lab class. The lab class is meant for applying the book knowledge in everyday life, so to speak, so that we understand by doing how to apply the principles. So Sankhya Yoga is exactly like that. And in the 3rd canto, in the pastimes of Lord Kapila Dev, it's like 10 chapters, I think, in the 3rd canto, beginning from the marriage of Devahuti to Kardama Muni and continuing through Kardama takes sannyas, which he said he was going to do in the very beginning before they even got married. And for many chapters, he explains the principles of Sankhya Yoga to his mother, Devahuti, who herself was highly qualified. Devahuti had attained perfection in the Ashtanga Yoga system, the 8-fold mystic yoga system. She achieved perfection. But her husband was even more exalted, Kardama Muni. He was a great, great exalted devotee of the Lord. So anyhow, Sankhya is the first principle that knowledge is supported by. Second one is yoga. I don't mean hatha yoga, stretching like that. The principles of yoga, Prabhupada defines as mysticism for liberation of the pure soul from material bondage. So it's a process of getting untangled, disentangled for the soul from the material entrapment. Third is vairagya, which Prabhupada defines the acceptance of complete detachment from material enjoyment in life to elevate one to the highest platform of spiritual understanding. That's the third principle that knowledge rests on. So we've got Sankhya, Yoga, Vairagya, and the fourth is tapas, which the Prabhupada defines various kinds of voluntary austerities performed for spiritual perfection. And the Lord entrusted each of these 4 principles of knowledge to one of the 4 Kumars. And that's why there's 4 Kumars as one incarnation. Because the principle of understanding of knowledge is so very important. Because without this knowledge, without this understanding, we are eternally trapped in material existence. There's no way out. We can't do it on our own. And this knowledge is a descending process. We get it from higher authorities who have received it from higher authorities like that, Guru Parampara. So knowledge has 4 legs that support it. Sankhya, Yoga, Vairagya, and Tapas. Oh, and Prabhupada explained, that's 3rd canto, 12th chapter, 4th verse, if anybody wants to look it up. Prabhupada gives a very, very nice explanation there. So going back to today's verse, Shukadeva Goswami is saying, the Lord expands into 3 kinds of manifest beings, the Rakshasas, or those who are completely in the mode of darkness, the demons, who are more passionate, and the demigods, who are mixed. They're primarily goodness, but there is some mixture of goodness, of passion, and maybe a trace of ignorance here and there. There's stories within the Bhagavatam. One that comes to my mind is Lord Indra, who Srila Prabhupada refers to as the president of all the demigods. He is in a very exalted position. And in the beginning of the pastime of Vritrasura's appearance, the whole thing is it's preceded by Indra. Indra he's in his palace, his palatial home, very beautiful, and he's being worshipped by demigods and people in general. And while he's sitting on a throne covered, with a white umbrella and being fanned and worshipped like this, he's very much enjoying being worshipped like this. He notices his spiritual master entering the assembly. And Indra, due to his pride, he didn't rise from his seat. He didn't welcome his guru. He simply ignored him so he could continue to receive this pratishta, this adoration from the different demigods. And his spiritual master understood the heart and mind of Indra, and he rejected him. So, even amongst supposedly, highly advanced individuals in the material world, there's tinges of these lower modes. And we cannot get free of the influence of ignorance or passion or even goodness until we come to the transcendental platform. And that's what the six Goswamis have heard from Lord Chaitanya and presented it in their innumerable writings and teachings, which were elaborated on by the acharyas and by our predecessor gurus. So for each and every one of us, it's very important to understand these principles, how we get from wherever we are, how we progress. And we have to have a proper conception of where am I? I can give you a map. Anybody can give you a map. You can buy a map in so many places. And if you want to get to a particular destination, let's say from here let's say you want to go to Bombay, for example. Well, I have no idea why anybody would want to go to Bombay. Before you can understand how to get to Bombay, what's the first, aside from the form of transport and like that, what's the main requirement you have to have? You need to know where you are on the map and where you are in relation to Bombay. Because if we think we are somewhere else, if we think that we're something else, we can't achieve the proper destination, the goal. It's a material example, but it's very appropriate. We have to honestly to ourselves acknowledge, where am I in my material development and my spiritual development? Am I just barely beginning, like most of us are? Or am I, whatever? And without honestly and sincerely and seriously acknowledging our own place, factually, it'll be very difficult to make actual progress. We can be in motion, we can be doing all kinds of stuff. How many people have gone the wrong way on a road and gotten lost? It's not unusual. And it's because we don't know where we are. We don't know the direction to go. We can have the most reliable vehicle. We can have plenty of money to get us to the destination. We can have an excellent roadmap, but if we don't know where we are, it'll be very difficult. So in the same way, we have to know where we are on the spiritual path. And we have to be honest with ourselves. We have to get rid of all of our mundane conceptions. I'm a temple president, I'm a GBC, I'm a husband, I'm a PhD. These are just, inconsequential on the spiritual path. That's why Lord Chaitanya said, Naham vipro na achar narpati napi vaishna shudro nahambani na chagrapatir novanasto itirva, kintu prodya nikila parmananda pranavatabdir, gobi bartu padakamanir das, anudas. I'm not a Brahmana, I'm not a Kshatriya, I'm not a Vaishya, I'm not a Shudra, I'm not a brahmachari, a householder, a vanaprastha, or a sannyasi. I am simply the servant of the servant of the servant of those exalted devotees who are serving the lotus feet of the gopis. Free from all material misconceptions, from all material desires, completely free. This is what we need to call upadhis, these material designations. They're unwanted things. But because we've been in the material world for so many billions and billions of births, so many misconceptions we have, like the young man, yeah, I played piano before. Okay, for you it's going to be more costly to make progress. So we've so many misconceptions we're carrying in our heart, we're carrying in our mind, and in our intelligence, and we have to hear from the previous acharyas, from the saints and sadhus, from our spiritual masters, what is factually true and what is not true. Therefore, in Sri Upanishad, Vidya Cha Vidyam Chayas, I don't know who the speaker is. I don't think anybody knows who the speaker is. But we have to cultivate knowledge and nescience simultaneously. Now, why is that? Why should we cultivate nescience? So that we understand what's not true alongside what is true. So like, so many people, when they come to Krishna consciousness, I know God. Well, factually, they don't, but they think they do. So therefore, in the Upanishad, cultivating of knowledge and nescience side by side. Now, that nescience doesn't mean, the local news and the cricket scores and like that. That's not what's referred to by nescience. But the misconceptions that are keeping us bound to the material world, we have to eliminate those. And in the scriptures, I forgot exactly where it is. I think it's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Sarvapadi Vinirmuktam Tat Paratrena Nirmalam, Rishikanam Rishikesh Sevanam Bhakti Uchate. Sarvapadis means, sarva means all, and upadis. We can be full, we are full of so many mundane misconceptions. Whether we have that, whether we have no material desires whatsoever, or even if we desire liberation, by engaging in the act and the process of devotional service as a side effect, all these things are eliminated from the core of our heart. We don't have to endeavor to get rid of these upadhis separately, although sometimes it helps. It's like, for example, by occupation, as a devotee, I've been a builder for a long time. I mean, I worked on, I think, 13 different temples around the world. And my home, I counted one day, how many saws do I have for cutting things? And I stopped counting at like 12 or 13. I had more than that. And when you have a particular material you have to cut, you need a particular saw to cut it. It just makes the job easier. So there are material tools that will help us to get rid of our misconceptions and misunderstandings. But ultimately, the process of pure devotional service, however many of us are able to actually follow that process, all of these sarvupadis are eliminated from our heart by the process of pure devotional service. So I will stop speaking here at this time. I mean, it's 9 o'clock. I don't want to compete with prasadam. Anybody have any clarifications, corrections, questions? Why don't you go to Prabhu? I think it's coming.
My question is why he's not ready. My question is why he's not ready.
I cannot
It's a very nice class.
Thank you.
So when you say we're not the body, then, we say that to others who are not following the bhakti path. It may sound interesting, but they don't really take any seriousness of foreseeing it. And a person who like burns himself in fire knows not to touch fire again, but it seems like we're being burnt and burnt each and every life. And why we don't like give up the whole suffering mood and take more seriously?
Srila Prabhupada, great question. Srila Prabhupada explains that in the spiritual and material world combined, there's two classes of living entities. Those who compete with the Supreme Lord, those of us who want to be Krishna, and they are all removed and put in the material universes, and those who cooperate with the service and the mission of the Lord, and they remain eternally liberated, Nityasiddha, Nityabhada, that we just can't give up this spirit of enjoyment or being the supreme controller. I want to enjoy or I want to control. And because we are attached to those, we get the concomitant reaction. And it's natural. But we're not able to combine, this is my action and this is the result. We're not able to put them together and understand, oh, I'm getting this bad result because I'm doing this. It's like that. That's the best answer I can give you. Sorry. Prabhuji? If anybody wants to go for prasad, please feel welcome to. Okay.
I'd just like to know that you mentioned the three types of.
I can't hear you.
You mentioned the three types of designations: the rakshasas and the demons and the devotees, I think. So what's the difference between a rakshasa and a demon? I thought rakshasas and demons were the same. So can you give us an example of a rakshasa and an example
My
of a
understanding is rakshasa is a man-eater. They're also a demon, especially if they're chasing you.
High-class demon.
High-class demon. I thought they were low-class, but anyhow. That's my understanding, that they're man-eaters.
So that would be Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, man-eaters, I think. I think there's some reference to that.
I don't know if they actually were man-eaters. I'm not. They had associates who were man-eaters, but I don't know if they themselves actually. I mean, Hiranyakashipu knew the philosophy very well, up to the from the material platform, not beyond the material conceptions. Understood it very well.
That's a good answer. I think you're right. Rakshasa is definitely man-eater.
Man-eater, yeah.
That's the distinction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Good. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanandi.
Gaur Shakti Prabhu ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,